What to do, YouTube? Obviously, we didn't end up covering the Brian Flores firing yesterday. Shout out to November Ray for his appreciation, man. Like it really goes a long way. When people leave a comment and be like, "Hey, yo, where the video at?" Like that really means a lot to me. Like seriously, it does. Um, we're just gonna take this one day at a time. We're not gonna, make it nothing official or anything. But topic at hand. Brian Flores got fired yesterday. I feel like this is an appropriate time for us to start talking about replacements. Uh, I gave you 24 hours to mourn that. But just a quick recap as far as Brian Flores' tenure with the Miami Dolphins. A 24-25 record, was 19-14 the last two seasons with the Dolphins. Now, a lot of folks are going to be like, well, technically he only had two seasons. We don't count the first season. Look, we can go back and forth about that whole first season, what he decided to do with stripping the roster down and literally just building it up piece by piece. But it counts. It literally counts. And I remember us having the conversation 2 years ago when he signed the 5-year contract. And folks was like, he's going to get the whole contract. He's going to stay the whole 5 years. I said, no, that's not going to happen. It's going to be, you're going to have to show some type of progression from year 2 to year 3. And then that's where we're going to really sit back and evaluate it. Now, obviously, we ended up ending the season with a winning record. But at the same time, when we sit back and think about it, the Dolphins are not in the playoffs. 2 years in a row, we have came close to being in the playoffs. But that's just the wins and losses part about the whole situation. There's reports out there as far as him. I just read it today. There's reports out there that he wanted total control and final say of all the decisions of the Miami Dolphins regarding the team. So we just want to go ahead and just cut out the middleman with Chris Grier. We just want to make Brian Flores make all the decisions. To be honest with you, I thought when he signed the contract in 2019, I could have sworn it said that he is going to have total control of player personnel. That's what I thought. Maybe I didn't read it correctly, but who knows? But in Stephen Ross's press conference, the way that he was swaying as far as the relationship with Brian Flores, and some people weren't too fond of Brian Flores as far as the way that he coached. I'm talking about players, possible coaches, and it just didn't end up working out. Now, I know this generation is a little bit soft. I get that. But when it comes down to it, if players don't want to play for you, you technically lost the locker room. But the Dolphins played hard. The Dolphins played hard. But I'm just looking at the result and what has transpired since Brian Flores has been here. Like, we talking about multiple offensive coordinators, multiple offensive line coaches. Off the top of my head, Chad O'Shea, 2019 offensive coordinator. There was a speculation there was a report out there about his offense was too complex and nobody can get the offense down. He was out. Then we had Chan Gailey, 2020, which I feel like people go back and forth about who was the reason why Chan Gailey decided to come out of retirement. I'm more swaying towards the side of Ryan Fitzpatrick due to his relationship with Chan Gailey is the reason why he came out of retirement. Only stayed for 1 year. And then I totally forgot about Jim Caldwell. Him coming in as being an assistant head coach. He ended up having to step down due to health issues. So I really don't want to put that on that stain on his resume. But you look at the offensive line coaches, Dave Duguglielmo, if I hope I said that correctly. He didn't stay long. Platt Flaherty, he didn't stay long. You had Steve Marshall, didn't stay long. And then you have Lemuel. Jean Pierre is the current Miami Dolphins offensive line coach, which I felt like they played a little bit better down the stretch this season. But back to the offensive coordinator, because I did tend to forget the Miami Dolphins this year. They had 2 offensive coordinators. We've never, in my honest opinion, I have never, that was unheard of in the NFL. I never heard of that. So George Godsey and Eric Studesville were the co-offensive coordinators, and then the quarterback coach, Charlie Fry, I'm almost 1,000% sure dabbled into some of the play calling too as well offensively. And that has just been the biggest issue for Brian Flores in his tenure in Miami, is the fact that we are unable to move the ball on offense. We have no idea what we are doing on the offensive side of the ball. The team on the offensive side of the ball was poorly built, and it shows as far as the product that we put on the field every single week. It shows. But with that being said, I just want to wish Brian Flores the best of luck, man. Hey, it's been real. Unfortunately, it had to come down to this, but I got four head coaching candidates up here. One is for certain, I feel like is going to be due to the Miami Dolphins may end up keeping Tua. I know that sounds horrible when I sit here and I say that, but you got. I strongly believe that you gotta figure out how to make that work at this point, because you gotta clean this thing up. You really gotta clean this thing up. The Dolphins wasted the 5th overall pick on Tua. You gotta clean this thing up somehow. So with the first coach that I have on my list is Doug Peterson, the former Philadelphia Eagles head coach. Had a 42-37-1 record and a Super Bowl ring. The reason why I have Doug Peterson on this list is because of the fact when he came into as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, I believe it was the Super Bowl year, they implemented the RPO. So what the Philadelphia Eagles decided they wanted to do after they fired Doug Peterson, they brought in Nick Sirianni, and they wanted to implement consistent RPO for the Philadelphia Eagles for Jalen Hurts. So with that being said, why not go ahead and bring Doug Peterson to the Miami Dolphins and implement the RPO, which Tua seems to be Tua's best strength at this point in his career for the Miami Dolphins. So that's the one head coach that I feel like that could come in and he could fix the offense and take care of Tua for the most part. I feel like he'd do an excellent job with Tua. And then let's just go ahead and move on, because I'm getting irritated just thinking about it for a second. I get irritated because I'm ready to move on. So option number 2 is Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy been with the Kansas City Chiefs since 2013, but was the offensive coordinator since 2018. So with that being said, is it finally time for him to finally get a head coaching job in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins? Now, where I'm going at with this is the fact that there was reports out there that when the Houston Texans, they wanted to let go of Bill O'Brien, Deshaun Watson made a recommendation for Eric Bieniemy to be the next Houston Texans head coach. Obviously, they didn't end up going that direction. They ended up going with David Culley. So why not the Miami Dolphins? I'm pretty sure they have an open line of communication, which they're I don't care what anybody says. They're looking to make that trade. They're definitely looking to make that trade. The Miami Dolphins bring in Eric Bieniemy, accommodate Deshaun Watson, and then we're gonna try to do what we can do with the defense moving forward. That's how I feel about that particular situation. Eric Bieniemy is solely, and that's the move that's gonna be like, yep, that's Deshaun Watson. It's Deshaun Watson coming. If they do that, Deshaun Watson is definitely coming. That makes me almost 100% sure that's what's about to go down. But next pick, we have, obviously there's rumors about Jim Harbaugh, the relationship ties between him and Stephen Ross, and Stephen Ross wanted him back in 2011, and wanted to drop Tony Sparano for him, and he didn't end up going to Miami, but Now that he may become available again, will he try to make that happen? He already came out and said that we're not going to pursue him, but never say never. I can see that happening for the Miami Dolphins. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that on the table. That's probably going to be my least favorite head coaching job, my least favorite head coaching candidate, due to the fact that there's just so many question marks of what he plans on doing with the team. I feel like that's going to end up ending up in a whole teardown, to be honest with you. I think that's my honest opinion. But last but not least, now this one is a long shot, but this is definitely my personal favorite pick right here. And it's going to be Marvin Lewis, the former Cincinnati Bengals head coach who went 131 and 122 and 16 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals, has his 0-7 playoff record. I know what you're thinking. Y'all be like, damn, yo, like Marvin Lewis, like 0-7 in the playoffs, man. At least the man is getting into the playoffs. That's one thing people got to remember. Like, my man is getting into the playoffs. Like, I got nothing. Hey, once we get there, then we can go ahead and evaluate the coach. But at this point, the Dolphins haven't been to the playoffs since 2016. The time before that was 2008. So I need some consistency in getting us into the playoffs. Now, this comes with a package deal because Marvin Lewis, he's a defensive-minded head coach, but he's a package deal with Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson is his boy. So Hugh Jackson going to definitely want to have to come to Miami with him. So Hugh Jackson, as far as his ability to coach offenses, and he's got a hell of a resume when it comes down to being a player's coach, I feel like this would be a perfect fit. And then you have Mike Zimmer, who just got fired from the Minnesota Vikings. Maybe we can have us a little bit of Cincinnati Bengal reunion down here in Miami. You never know. Like, I feel like that would be perfect. Zimmer is a hell of a defensive coordinator. He can come in and probably take the defense to the next step. Hugh Jackson could do something with the offense. Will be good. Marvin Lewis looking down. And the reason why I like Marvin Lewis so much is because of the fact that they invented that rule. I don't remember the rule off the top of my head, but it was about a certain amount being able to be spent in free agency. And the Cincinnati Bengals was so freaking cheap, they didn't spend no money in free agency, so they had to invent that rule for the Cincinnati Bengals. To see what Marvin Lewis was able to do with that franchise and turn that franchise around to make them winners. And then also, when I sat down and I was watching the Hard Knocks, they had the owner, Mike Brown, sitting in on the player personnel meeting during training camp. He's making all the final decisions and stuff like that during the course of the training camp, who they should keep, who they should let go. And Marvin was working with it. So I'm telling you, like, you bring in Marvin, like, he turning shit to sugar, excuse my language, but hey, that's something that definitely cannot be that's something definitely that cannot be avoided. So I would definitely look out for it. But just to go over the candidates again, Doug Peterson, RPO familiarity, worked perfect with Tua. Eric Bieniemy, a Deshaun Watson recommendation for Houston in at the end of the 2020 season. Could help lure Deshaun Watson to Miami. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan ties to Stephen Ross, our owner. And then last but not least, the perfect fit, Marvin Lewis with the package deal of Hugh Jackson and a possible reunion of Mike Zimmer of the former Cincinnati Bengals coaching staff. That joint is beautiful, dog. That joint is beautiful. But let me know what you guys think. You know what it is. If you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. This is Great One DeVore. I'm up out of here.